Who can talk about this better than the very fabulous Sharyn Murray, who joins me today? She's the Investment Engagement Manager at the Good Food Institute, GFI, as most people know it. Thanks for being with me today, Sharyn. This might seem like a burden to some smaller companies, and they might think like, why do I really have to do this? Pressure is coming. So we are going through the global food systems transformation. And the reason that is because our current global food supply system is showing its stress cracks. It's susceptible to pandemics. It uses too much land and water. It emits too much emissions. It uses natural resources poorly and inefficiently, such that we're going to have trouble feeding a growing population. Can't feed people. You're talking about wars and political instability. It just grows from there. So to respond to that, you're seeing pressure from investors. You're seeing pressure, as Sharyn said, from the Securities and Exchange Commission, that wanting to focus on people's supply chain scopes 1, 2, and 3 to push them to enact better practices. This isn't really going to be optional, I don't believe, in, I'll say, short order by 2025. Would you like to venture anything there? Could you respond to its optionality versus necessity in the near future?
Yeah, so look, the SEC has a sustainability reporting draft out. They received a lot of comments on this, and we'll see what they do. I hesitate to predict the future with respect to U.S. regulation.
Yes.
In Europe, it seems a lot more certain. So there are various regulations with respect to funds. So funds have to meet certain requirements to call themselves ESG and impact funds. There's Article 8 and Article 9 concept. There's the green taxonomy, which industries fit into this. This is still all being developed, but it's certainly, some of it is already enacted and is continuing to be worked on. So that seems more certain. And this impacts multinational companies. So even if they have a US headquarter and they operate to a certain revenue requirement or revenues in Europe, they'll be impacted by this. The other point I want to make, though, so these are all really important, right? Companies are going to have to do this, and investors and others care, and it's important for our future. On the kind of carrot side of it, this can help companies reduce their cost of capital. So we've seen things like green bonds in Europe in particular, but globally. So these are bonds companies are raising for sustainability-oriented projects. That interest rate is lower than it would be otherwise. And so we can apply that concept to equity as well. Companies that can show these positive ESG characteristics are probably going to have more demand by investors, right? Because we have these impact ESG investors. They actually have a lot of capital to put to work. PitchBook has something out, I have to look at the precise number, but something over $100 billion that impact funds have to put to work as of last September when we published these frameworks. And so when you have more demand for your round, you're going to raise either higher valuation, you're going to have more money you can raise. It's going to reduce that cost of capital. So we talked about the expense that companies need to expend to report on this data. But the hope is that they get a whole lot more back, even just from a financial perspective for doing so.
Right. And as well, from a marketing perspective, they're going to have those positive stats to show on front of pack, and they're going to be more competitive in that grocery store aisle. And that, too, is going to bring more capital. And that's going to bring more distribution possibilities, because when you as a product have better environmental, social, or governance statistics, well, then that grocery store wants to carry you because you make their numbers look better. Everyone is looking to make their numbers better. And so when you are out in front with good numbers, you are out in front, and there's so much equity to being first. So I'm so thrilled that FAIR and GFI are working together, have worked together to put these frameworks out there as tools so that plant-based innovation and alternative protein companies can start to gather that data and report their statistics. So I think it's going to be very meaningful for the sector as a whole.